Hello, everyone, and welcome to God's City Fellowship again in High Wycombe. We've been going through some exciting series called Prophecy in the New Testament. Prophecy in the New Testament. And when we started this journey, we were able to say that there are quite a few people that were beginning to say that maybe prophecies was dead with Jesus, that maybe it was no longer relevant, that maybe, there's really no need for prophets today. And I can understand why they will say that, because we have so many charlatans across the world right now. People that are defrauding people of money under the guise of being called prophets. So I can understand why people are skeptical and they're beginning to question, is this thing even real? Do we even need prophets anymore since the Holy Spirit has come? And the answer is yes, there are still prophets. And I thank God that by His grace, I'm one of them. And I'm not saying that boastfully, but, I can only tell you the truth. I sit in the office of a prophet. So what is the relevance of that? We're able to trace prophecy of Jesus's birth, death, and resurrection, all the way from the Old Testament to the New Testament, proving that the Bible, there's no book in the world that can be compared to the Bible. A book that has a collection of prophecies over 4,000 years. And all of those things prophesied has happened. And we still have a few more that hasn't happened just yet. But all the things that was prophesied has been fulfilled. So let's say that 100 things were prophesied, 80 has been fulfilled. I think that's a pretty good record by anybody's standard. That, the Bible must know what it's saying. Or whoever wrote the Bible must know what it is they're saying. So we've been able to trace that without a shadow of a doubt, that Jesus is birth, death, and resurrection were exhaustive. There were so many places in the Bible where he was prophesied, and so many places in the Bible where he was fulfilled. Glory to God.
Hallelujah.
So in order for us to move on today, I want to talk about the final part of this equation, and that is the fact that the significance of prophecy in today's world. In one of our sermons, I did say that every child of God should covet to prophesy. It doesn't mean it will make you a prophet, but it's something that God will willingly give you if you ask for it. Many people think it's some exclusive thing. Yes, there are some people that are born with it. I'm one of those people. There are some people that grow into it, and I'm sure there are many people around the world that, they just grew into it. But every born-again child of God can prophesy. Or you just ask. Ask God, and go and read 1 Corinthians chapter 14 again. He says, I would rather you prophesy than speak in tongues. And speak in tongues is very important. He said, I would rather you prophesy because you'll be able to benefit more people than just yourself. So, ideally speaking, every child of God should have the gift of prophecy operating in their lives. And I will mention it as we go along today, why that is very, very important. So, in order for me to look at the significance of prophecy in today's world, I've decided to merge two sermons. So please bear with me. It may be slightly longer than usual, but it's not going to be too long. You guys know I don't do too long, but it's going to be longer than what we're used to, because it's two sermons in one. So I'm looking at prophecy in the first church and using that to explain the significance of prophecy today. You understand the point? So because by the first church, we mean when Jesus has gone back to heaven. So that means from that time, some historians put it as AD 70 till now. So we're going about 2000 and I don't know, 30 years ago kind of thing. So, but the whole idea is roughly about 2000 years ago. So I'm tracing the beginning of it and using it to explain what will happen to us today. While I was preparing this sermon, the Lord impressed it upon me that I have to do another sermon, not immediately, but I have to do another sermon at some point on the book of Revelation. Because that's the one that now tells us what the actual end is all about. Glory to God.
Hallelujah.
So, let's go very quickly. In Acts chapter 1, because the book of Acts is what talks about the Acts of the Apostles. That was when human beings took over from Jesus. Do you get the idea? Like, the Acts means the deed. What did they do? That's what Acts stand for. So what did the apostles do? And these are meant to be some of the things we should be doing today as an example, because they were the ones that They met with Jesus. Jesus went back to heaven. They were the first to start to do Jesus' work without Jesus being physically present there, which is the same today. Okay? So in Acts chapter 1, verses 4 to 5, he said, and being assembled together with them, he commanded them not to depart from Jerusalem, but to wait for the promise of the Father, which he said, you have heard from me. For John truly baptized with water, but you shall be baptized with the Holy Spirit not many days from now. Even from the starting of the book of Acts, prophecy has started. So Jesus is prophesying to them that, guys, wait in Jerusalem. Something is going to happen to you. Something that I've told you about before, something you've been waiting for. And immediately, in Acts chapter 2, verses 1 to 2, that was fulfilled. I don't know the duration between the two. The historians are not quite sure. But you can notice one thing you can be sure of, it wasn't like hundreds of years with the prophecies that we've been dealing with before. You know, the ones we've been dealing with before, like thousands of years, hundreds of years. Now it's getting shorter. Jesus said it, went to heaven. Not too long after, they were still in Jerusalem praying. Boom, it happened. So with the entrance of God the Holy Spirit, prophecy fulfillment started to shorten. The duration starts to shorten. Okay, so in Acts chapter 2, verse 1 to 2, when the day of Pentecost had fully come, they were all with one accord in one place, and suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled the whole house where they were sitting. I'm not going to go into it. We are all familiar with it. The day of Pentecost, it came like a dove, like a fire, like tongue of fire. But it was a very significant day. One, prophecy was being fulfilled. Two, our status was being changed. So, the Holy Spirit impressed upon me when I was preparing this sermon that the only thing Jesus came to do was so we can have the Holy Spirit. So he's being nailed to the cross, he's being killed, he's being tormented. Yes, he was paying for our sins, but why? Oh, he died on the cross, but why? He was tormented, but why? So that we can have God, the Holy Spirit. Let me re-explain to people who don't understand. The Holy Spirit will never inhabit a sinful vessel. So when we were yet sinners, Holy Spirit could not stay inside of us. Jesus had to pay for it so that it is already paid for. Even though we may not be perfect, but because it's already paid for, now the Holy Spirit can come stay with us. I mean, I don't know. Whoever is hearing this message, I'm sure you should be shouting hallelujah wherever you are. These are the things that makes me a Christian. Guys, listen. I'm one of the most rebellious individuals you ever made. I don't follow authority well. I don't. But I'm an absolute fool for God. I'm an absolute fool for God. And people are trying to make us look like we're the ridiculous ones because we believe in God. Are you kidding me right now? So a God who can put this type of thing together, I will take off my clothes. I will roll on the floor for him. I'm a Christian because the God I follow is outside of my explanation. It just stupefies me every time. It's so superior to me. My brain can't comprehend the difference between me and this God. And you're blaming me for worshiping him? Are you kidding right now? I mean, he outsmarted Satan because he created Satan. Satan could never win. But Satan thought he had us on lockdown when Adam and Eve sinned in the Garden of Eden. He thought he had already got this planet. And God already had his plan to outsmart him already. And Satan didn't even know. It was Satan that pushed the children of Israel to crucify Jesus. And he didn't know that was exactly what God wanted to happen. Are you kidding me right now? That's the God that is worthy of my worship. That's the God I wake up in the morning to pray to. Because if I can't swear on the altar, I'm not going to swear. I'm very close to it. But I'm telling you, if he can put that thing together, he is my God. He is God to me. Sorry if I'm shouting. I'm just so excited this morning. So he spoke about Pentecost, about the coming of the Holy Spirit, and it happened immediately afterwards. Moving on. From that same Acts chapter 1 that we just read, do you know that another prophecy was fulfilled about Judas? You know, Judas that betrayed Jesus? There is actually a writing in the book. Let's look at Acts chapter 1, verses 19 to 20. It says, and it became known to all those dwelling in Jerusalem, so that the field is called in their own language, Akeldama, that is field of blood. For it is written in the book of Psalms. It's been predicted from the book of Psalms that let his dwelling place be desolate, and let no one live in it, and let another take his office. That land, nobody bought it, nobody lived on it. That land, they used that 30 shekels to buy. Everybody just call it land of blood. And he said, let another do what? Take his office. That was prophesied by Psalms, talking about Judas. 800 years before it happened. So in book of Acts already, even prophecy was still being fulfilled. So what happened? They now drew lots, and Matthias replaced him. So another person took his position. Another prophecy fulfilled. Another thing that the Bible tells us, habit dies, huh? Acts chapter 1 verse 11, it says, who also said, men of Galilee, why do you stand gazing up into heaven? This was when Jesus has gone back to heaven. Just at that moment, he has gone back to heaven. Angels appeared to the disciples because they were looking at him going into heaven. And he said, this same Jesus who was taken up from you into heaven will soon come in like manner. Soon come. As you saw him go into heaven. That's a prophecy right there. This has not been fulfilled yet. This is what we're waiting on. The fact that Jesus is what? Coming back. Do you know that another prophecy has been fulfilled? In the book of Acts, that Jesus will be sitting at the right hand of God. I'm really excited about this. In Acts chapter 2, verses 33 to 34, this was after the Holy Spirit has come, and Apostle Peter was now preaching under the influence of God, the Holy Spirit. These are part of what he said. In verses 33 to 34 of Acts 2, he says, therefore, being exalted to the right hand of God, and having received from the Father the promise of the Holy Spirit, he poured out this which you now see and hear. For David did not ascend into heaven, but he says himself, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand. King David prophesied that Jesus would be sitting at the right hand side of God 800 years before Jesus was born. And that was fulfilled in Acts chapter 1 and spoken about in Acts chapter 2. And so Peter encouraged them a bit more and told them that, look, all these prophecies is from Moses. These prophecies that you are seeing happening in front of you, being fulfilled in your eyes. Now, this Holy Spirit that we are all speaking in different tongues, you can hear your language. You can hear me speak your language, even though I'm not from your country. All of these things you are seeing now was prophesied by, from Abraham all the way to Moses, all the way down to what was happening. He said in Acts chapter 2, verses 33 to 34, therefore, being exalted to the right hand of God, because he's sitting on the right hand of God, so what? If you can't answer the question, so what? You are not being explicit in your explanation. Okay, he's sitting on the right hand of God, so what? He could have been sitting on the left, on the north, or the west, who cares? No, we care. And this is why. Therefore, being exalted to the right hand of God, and having received from Father the promise of the Spirit, he poured that which you now see. Now, so he was there to pour out the Holy Spirit onto us. Amen. And that was fulfilled. And he said, it shall be that every soul, listen to this, who will not hear that prophet shall be utterly destroyed from among the people. Yes, and all the prophets from Samuel and those who follow, as many as have spoken, have also foretold these days. Guys, we can dress it up with human rights, political correctness, modernization. This world is coming to an end at some point. And the person who created is going to come And he's going to he will have a decision to make. We must never forget that. It's easy to forget it. As time drags on, people tend to forget it. They're thinking maybe it's not really real. Maybe it's a fable. Maybe it's myth. Maybe it's Greek mythology, Hebrew mythology. Are you kidding me right now? Something predicted 100 things. 80 of them has taken place. You're doubting the last 20? That's not smart, is it? I believe every single prophecy in the Bible. It may happen in my lifetime. It may not happen in my lifetime. It will happen. Amen?
Amen.
Glory to God.
Hallelujah.
And so, when they started to preach, the apostles, we've seen what's happened now. Jesus is coming back, has been prophesied. Judas' place is going to be replaced. That's been done. The pouring of the Holy Spirit, that's happened. Jesus sitting on the right side of God, that's done. Yeah? As soon as the apostles started preaching, there was opposition against them. And that opposition has already been prophesied in the Old Testament. So there's nothing happening. Guys, my daughter will understand this probably better than the rest of us. We are only playing out a script. It's already been written. What makes this different from a dictatorial script is that the actors there have self-will. So you can either act this way or that way. But the script has already been written. That's what life is all about. This script has already been written. Only the difference is these actors have self-interest to ad-lib. So what are you going to say? What are you going to reply? Are you going to react? Are you going to respond? That's up to you. But this script is already written.
Wow. Goodness.
And we can see that in Acts chapter 4, verses 25 to 27, immediately they started to pray and people were getting healed. You would think people will applaud. Oh, Jesus has gone, but the people after him are doing exactly the same thing he did. No, they resisted. They must be using witchcraft. Oh, we don't know the power they're using. It's already been prophesied. Oh, by the mouth of your servant who? David. That King David, that guy was a prophet, man. A senior prophet. I've said, why did the nations rage? This is a psalm. This thing being quoted here is a psalm in the Old Testament. Why did the nations rage and the people plot vain things? The kings of the earth took their stand and the rulers were gathered together against the Lord, against his Christ. Is that not happening now?
Yes.
Is the nation not slowly becoming anti-Christians? It's a different thing from being neutral. They've now moving from neutral to anti-Christianity. Say, yeah, they will take their stand. It's already been prophesied. They will be angry towards Christians. They'll be angry towards any of his servants or anybody who call themselves Christians. It's in the Bible. Yes. And the rulers were gathered against the Lord and against Christ. For truly against your only servant, Jesus, whom you anointed, both Herod and Pontius Pilate with the Gentiles and the people of Israel were gathered together. So, this is already been prophesied. So the apostles thought that when they were displaying power, people will applaud them. Can you imagine somebody who has been paralyzed, they healed him? You think the whole town they should be given like the biggest medal of honor in the town? No! They're like, oh, we don't know the power he used to do this. We don't know the power he used. Somebody who was paralyzed can now walk. I thought, whether you believe in what power they use or not, the first thing for an average human being you would expect to be, we're grateful, so that guy doesn't have to be lame anymore. No, they got angry. They got angry like they did against Jesus. Because all Jesus did was he healed the sick and he preached. They still killed him. So what I'm trying to say so far, just to summarize what I've said so far, Jesus' resurrection and sitting on the right hand of God has been fulfilled. Yeah? Yes. But restoration of all things and the earth and our kings raging against things of God is still being fulfilled as we stand here now. So God is making a restoration of all things and the kings of the earth are placing themselves against him. That's going on now. I've said this in this church before and I'm saying it because it's relevant to what I'm preaching. You can wear a turban and walk naked through the cities of England. People will applaud you. go into a place and shout the name Jesus, you might be arrested for disturbing the peace. That's how crazy the world we're living in today is. I've lived here 26 years, so it's not just rumors. Just go and shout Jesus in a public space, you will probably be arrested. But if you wear a turban and you go naked through the street, people will laugh, oh, he's crazy, he's mad. But they'll still be applauding. So that tells you something. The nation's raging against Jesus. I mean, we've been in IWICOM for 10 years. We've been struggling to find a place to worship. 4 years ago, council drove out all the churches from their accommodations. When I went by there the following week, people were doing Pilates, yoga, reading book, literature, all sorts of things. So if those people can be allowed, why not us? We're not disturbing anybody. Excuse me. So we can see that the spirit of prophecy is crucial and is still operational after Jesus went back to heaven. And one of the things it does for us is that it gives us discernment. Everybody say discernment.
Discernment.
I'm begging you, teach this to your children. This is the only advantage they have if they're calling themselves Christians. It's not about just saying I'm a Christian and go to church and sing. Everybody can do that. This is the only advantage we have over the world. This Holy Spirit gives us discernment. Discernment is that you just know something. I've had it all of my life. It's an invaluable tool for every child of God to have. It hasn't been perfect for me. You understand? It hasn't been 100%, but it's been in high 70s and 80s. So I walk into a room straight away, I can discern what the atmosphere of that room is before they even speak the first word to me. It's helpful. It's helpful. So let us read an account of it in the New Testament. Acts chapter 5, verses 1 to 3. You can see I'm going from Acts 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're in 5. I'm telling you the significance of prophecy through the lens of the first church. So in Acts chapter 5, verses 1 to 3, a certain man named Ananias, with Sapphira, his wife, sold a possession, and he kept back part of the proceeds. His wife also being aware of it and brought a certain part, laid it at the opposite street. But Peter said, Ananias, Ananias, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Why has Satan filled your heart to lie to the Holy Spirit? And you keep back part of the price of the land for yourself. When I read this when I was young, I thought it was harsh. That was my first impression. These couples, at that time, everybody will sell what they have. They'll bring the money. Everybody will share it equally. They'll find those who are in need. They'll give them more. You understand? Like, according to need. It was spread. That was one of the strengths of the first church. So I kept asking God, I don't understand. That's harsh. Somebody went to sell his land. He came and brought part of the money, but he hid the rest. Why did you kill him? And he said he lied to the Holy Spirit. The sin against the Holy Spirit is what? Unforgivable. I was weak when he answered me, when he gave me that answer. He said if he was lying to human beings, that's different. He was lying to the Holy Spirit. That's a difference. And the sin against the Holy Spirit is unforgivable. Let me repeat it to people who don't understand this hellfire concept, and then people are coming up with all sorts of alternative. No, maybe there will be no hell. Maybe they'll just be there for a while and then they'll come to heaven. Also, crazy things flying all around them. Wow. Let me explain it to you. God did not design hell for humans to go to it. Humans will go to it because of the choices they made. Amen. And they will only go to hellfire because of one sin. He said that you believe in God, the Holy Spirit, or you don't. Gosh. It's as simple as that. Because you know why? Because I asked him this when I was young. I asked him, I said, why? How about people in Saudi Arabia? I was arguing. I used to be extremely argumentative. I see it in my children sometimes. I try to not laugh because I could see my DNA displaying in their lives. I used to be extremely argumentative. But with God, not just with humans, with God. I said, God, how about people in Saudi Arabia? He told me, that's why I did not set the bar very high. I set it low. Those in Saudi Arabia, my Holy Spirit is still working in their hearts.
Goodness.
Nobody can stop the Holy Spirit. So he's talking to them in Saudi Arabia now. He's talking to them in Syria. He's talking to them in the brothel. He's talking to them in prostitute houses. He's there. So every human being, nobody can say, oh, and nobody preached to me, and I never went to church. No! God, the Holy Spirit, talks to everyone. And if you now resist that talk and you die, sorry. God has done his best. And that day, I couldn't say anything all day. I'm like, man, this God, this being, whatever this being is, this is God right here. Wow. Everyone here is the Holy Spirit, born again or not. So nobody can pretend, oh, nobody really did tell me. No, you decided not to listen. There's a difference. So these people, they were in an atmosphere where everyone was being cooperative, everybody was trusting, and they went there and became fraudulent. And God is like, oh, that's poison right there. Remove that poison right there before it poisons the rest of the fruits. Nobody forced them to sell the land. Nobody asked them to sell the land. They did it willingly. So they now came and said, oh, this is how much we sold it for. You're not lying to those people because they don't know. You're lying to the Holy Spirit, who saw you when you sold it and who saw you when you brought it. Do you know that it's written there? I said, even if he said, look, guys, this is not how much I sold it to. I've kept some back. This is what I want to give to you. They'll still pray for him. Hallelujah. Guys, this is your ace right here. If you are going to ever have any advantage over somebody who has not given their life to Christ, this is it right here. Spirit of discernment. You know when to keep quiet. You know when to talk. You know who you call friends. You know those who are really not your friends. You know where to go. You know where you shouldn't go. That is one of the advantages and relevance of prophecy. Because the Holy Spirit guides us through discernment. A lot of people get into needless trouble because they don't listen to the Holy Spirit. And with the presence of the Holy Spirit, the early ministry had power. Everybody say power.
Power.
Man, I'm done with weak Christians who are always whining and complaining. And then they say, oh, by the way, come to Jesus and your life will never be the same again. After you've spent 1 hour whining like any other people who don't have Jesus. Do you have Jesus or don't you? And what does he do for you? I mean, is that not a fair question to ask? You're asking me to come to Jesus. What does Jesus do for you? If you can't answer that question, you're not quite there. You're not quite there yet. Don't go around be inviting people to something you yourself, you're not quite there on. So it gave them power in Acts chapter 5, verses 12 to 14. And through the hands of the apostles, many signs and wonders were done among the people. And they were all with one accord in Solomon's porch. Yet none of the rest there joined them, but the people esteemed them highly. And believers were increasingly added to the Lord, multitudes of both men and women. People are drawn where power is displayed. It's as simple as that. Let me move on from there. This was when Stephen was being killed. Prophecy makes you see into the heavens. It's only happened to me a few times in my life before. And I'm not sure I've preached it anywhere before. But if you have God inside of you, once in a while, He will show you a glimpse of heaven. And that was what happened to Stephen. He was being killed and God opened up the heavens and he saw Jesus doing what? Standing. Jesus was sitting. But Stephen looked into heaven and saw Jesus standing, looking at stupid human beings, killing an innocent man. Sometimes prophecy will make you see into the heavens. I love this. Superiority over sorcery. You know, I've always said it and I've always preached it. There's power under heaven. Satan has power too. Yes. But it's just incomparable to the God that we serve. And you know the example I always give. Moses, he threw down his rod. The rod turned into what? Snake. The sorcerers, what did they do? They threw down their rod. He turned into snake too. So it's like, oh, okay, let's see. You think, we know that trick too. But a snake swallowed. Yes. Guys, if you're not swallowing up evil around you, you're not an effective Christian. You're just a nominal Christian. If Satan is slapping you easily, if the evil people come and they're panicking you easily, you've not quite experienced what it means to be a Christian just yet. So this Simon guy, he was a sorcerer. And he had already dazzled them in that place. So he had some powers here. And everybody was respecting him. This must be a top person. Until the real thing came to town. Then, look at it. Then Simon himself also believed. And when he was baptized, he continued with Philip and was amazed, seeing the miracles and signs which were done. This is somebody that was stupefying the whole town. He saw what the apostles were doing. He too was stupefied. Wow, look at what was. This is a superior thing to mine. This is a superior thing to mine. That's what evil people should be saying about us. I used to serve a man of God in Nigeria. And some of the things he used to pray is that if any evil person comes to his house or his office, they will fall down. People used to fall down regularly. Wow. So if you cross the threshold of his house or his office, or if you come with something evil, you will fall down. That's how powerful we are. Not us running from them. They should be running from us. And unfortunately, that Simon, the sorcerer, is like many people in the church today. Do you know why I said that? Simon was a sorcerer. He saw the display of God's genuine power. He now said, please guys, I want this. Then I said, okay. They baptized him. So he was already baptized. You call him a believer, right? Of course. Wrong. Now let's look at Acts chapter 8, 18 to 20. And when Simon saw through the laying on of the apostles' hands, the Holy Spirit was given, he offered them money, saying, give me this power also, that anyone on whom I lay hands may receive the Holy Spirit. But Peter said to him, your money perish with you, because you thought that the gift of God could be purchased with money. That's what many people in the churches are doing today. Things that have been given freely, they want to go pay for it. They go and pay for tarot card. They go and pay for their hands, their palms to be read. Silly people. You've got it inside of you. You're not making use of it. Then you go pay some quack. One of the significances of prophecy is that angel instructs. Angel instructs. I'm sure you've heard the story before. I probably would have been dead by now if God didn't send me that angel. Traveling to my spiritual father's home in Nigeria and getting to Abuja or Suleja around 12 midnight, my first time ever in those parts. And we came out of the bus and this very tall guy with tribal marks came to me. He had ID card on his chest that John was written on it. And a badge, no ID card, a badge. And he said, oh, don't follow them. Can you imagine? I'm traveling, I'm just like 2 hours away from my destination. This bus just stopped like 2 hours from Kabanchan. He said, don't follow them. Across the road, there's a pastor. He gives people where they can sleep. Knock on the gate, tell him that John sent you. He will give you a place to sleep. And I'm thinking to myself, you understand Nigeria now? You understand? 12 minutes, I'm thinking to myself, okay. I just obeyed and I crossed the road. Wow. I hit on the gate and the guy came and said, who is that? Who is that? I said, sorry sir, I'm traveling and one of your people working for you asked me to come here that you do give people traveling place to sleep. I said, yeah. It was an Equa church in Suleja. I will never forget. In fact, I'm planning to go back to that church and find out about that pastor just to make my story more real. So he gave me a place to sleep in the church. He said, oh, by the way, which member of my staff told you about this? I said, oh, John, sir, John. I was just so excited. He said, no man works with me. All my members of staff are women. I said, John, tall, with tribal marks like this. Yeah. He said, no man works with me. Wow. Even then, it still didn't sink in on me, you understand? Because it never happened to me before, so I didn't think anything of it. I thought maybe he must have forgotten somebody that I knew. Until we got to the meeting the next day, and then 8 other people gave the same testimony. That's when it occurred to me that what had just happened to me.
Wow.
So God sends angels to prophetically instruct us. But many people have become, especially in the West, have you noticed that thing that we have fewer miracles in the West? Yes. Because they are doubters. You understand? Because how can something supernatural happen to someone who doesn't want to believe in it? So look at Acts chapter 8 verse 26. An angel of the Lord spoke to Philip, saying, arise and go towards the south along the road which goes down from Jerusalem to Gaza. Guys, read that last part, that last phrase. This is desert. For us to know that there was nothing there. No, the Bible, there's no mistake in the Bible. Every single word means something. So the angel appeared to one of the apostles, Philip. He said, go down to this location, this GPS route. But it was only desert. So that, I mean, to an average person, you think, what kind of strange instruction is this? And when he got there, he saw somebody riding a chariot and was traveling. And that's what the Holy Spirit told him. It was the angel that instructed him. It's the Holy Spirit now talking to him now. Can you see how the different agencies of God operate on us to guide us to the right place? Then the Spirit said to Philip, go near and overtake the chariot. So he went there. He found out the guy was reading the scriptures. He didn't understand what he was reading. So he explained it to him. The guy said, can I be baptized now? He ended up baptizing the guy. A soul was saved. That's one of the significances of prophecy. So we can lead people to Christ. Prophecy saves souls. That's what it's for. Ultimately. So in Acts 8, verses 37 to 38, he got baptized and he gave his life to Christ. He was from Ethiopia, Africa, by the way. Africa in the house, amen. Amen. He got baptized. He was working for one of the richest queens in Africa then, Queen Sheba, the one that went to visit Solomon, Anyway, but he was working for a descendant of that, not the same queen, because this was years after. She's been dead a long time. Okay. So we've had how angels appeared to the apostles to say Jesus was coming back. We've read how the Holy Spirit fell upon people and decided to do supernatural stuff. We've heard how angel instructed Philip, and we've heard how the Holy Spirit told him what to do. Can you see all these things at work? The significance of prophecy in today's world. Now Jesus himself now spoke to Saul that became Paul. So every agency of God is trying to instruct mankind. Turn left, turn right, don't do it. Sit up, keep quiet, talk, go, don't go there. So Paul, as you all know, the road to Damascus, when he wanted to go and arrest Christians, Jesus himself had to appear to him. He said, guy, you think you're working for me, but man, you're working against me. And what did he do? He gave him an instruction. Arise and go into the city and you'll be told what you must do. That's what prophecy does. It instructs us on what to do. And this is another part I want to bring. Ananias, this is different from the one that died. Yeah, Ananias, I don't know, there's only I and E difference, but hey, maybe their names were just similar. Ananias instructed in a vision. So this is the bit that I don't see too much of it happening today. Jesus told Paul, go to a place. You will be told what to do. This guy had a vision and was told, go and find Paul and do so to him. Both sides have been instructed. So when they met, no argument. How come today it's only the prophet that hears, the other person doesn't hear anything? My work as a prophet should confirm something that's already been brewing inside of you. There must have been something inside of you that is brewing, but maybe you're not sure. Like, am I going crazy? This thing is saying green, green. And then you come to me and say, the Lord said green. Now, is that not confirmed? Is that not confirmed? The Lord has sent me on so many of those errands in my life before. I was in a bus in London. I told the girl, I said, don't do it. She started crying. She was going to go home to kill herself. That's what prophecy is for. Don't do it. He said, what? I said, well, I can hear this voice telling me to tell you, don't do it. I don't know what it is you want to do. And she just started crying. Bus 34. I'll never forget. That's what prophecy is for. So the other side was already instructed. This side was already instructed. They came together. Bam! God's will was done. And he has been told in the vision, let's look at this. Ananias was instructed, and Saul, the vision was confirmed to Saul as well. In a vision, he has seen a man named Ananias coming to put his hand on him so that he might receive his sight, because he was temporarily blind. Both sides knew what was going to happen before they met each other. How come today it's only prophet that knows? Only prophet, or nobody else knows anything. And when Ananias was being very skeptical, he said, this man is a dangerous man. You want to send me to this dangerous man? He might kill me. God said, don't worry. No. I need to know what he will do for me. That's what prophecy also does. It tells you about your future. God was preparing Paul, or Saul, who became Paul, that he was going to suffer for him. So he was preparing him. That's why he never married. Because do you want to draw a woman into that lifetime, that lifestyle? Because God has already told him, look, you are going to suffer greatly for me. Don't worry, I'm still with you. So that's why he never married. You understand? Because it's like, it's not fair to draw any woman into this setup. Let me go do what God has asked me to do. He said, I will show him how many things he must suffer for my name's sake. So he was prepared. So prophecy prepares us for the road we're supposed to travel. This a man was not even a Christian. He was just a giver. He prayed and he gave. And God said, you know what? I've answered your prayer. So God spoke to him. God spoke to the person that will pray for him. They met each other. Bam! How come that doesn't happen today? Or at least that doesn't seem to happen. I'm not saying it's not happening, but it doesn't seem to be happening. People just go to one person and he tells them these 15 million things. And there's no confirmation in their own spirit or soul too. Are you kidding me right now? God doesn't work that way. It must have been something that's been inside of you but you are unsure about, that the prophet confirms. Unless you've been sleeping. And before Cornelius went, Peter, it was confirmed to Peter in a vision. Somebody is coming. He's not a Jew. And you know Jews and Gentiles, they used to mix. Pray for him still. I'm the one who has set him up for you. They met each other. Bam! And that was how the Holy Spirit came to the Gentiles. That's how you and I, we are the Gentiles. Anybody who's not born Jew is a Gentile. That's how it came. So everything God does, there's a reason behind everything that he does. So prophecy confirms the future. Prophecy confirms what God has already told you. Prophecy prepares you for your future. Prophecy tells you things before they happen. But prophecy instructs you. Prophecy helps you to win souls. That's what it's there for. And during that time, this has been confirmed in regular history, not even religious history. A prophet came to Antioch. You know, Antioch was where they were first called Christians. And they were there for a whole year. And the prophet came from Jerusalem and told them, guys, famine is coming. And it's going to be brutal. So they prepared for that famine. They saved money. Prophecy is to warn you of danger so that you can avert the consequences. His name was Agabus. So they even named a prophet in the book of Acts. People that say prophecy doesn't exist anymore. Agabus, it was the same person that prophesied with Paul, when he told him that he should not go to to Rome. And then he tied a bite and said, this is how you will be tied. It's the same prophet. In those days, if you read the book of Acts, they did not give anybody office until they've prayed and they received instruction from God. Nobody was appointed into anything until God has confirmed it. And that's how Barnabas and Saul were confirmed for their office. Another sorcerer was humbled in Acts chapter 13. This is almost like an in-depth study of the book of Acts, but from the prophetic point of view. A guy called Bar Jesus was mesmerizing them in that town until he saw the apostles, and he was humbled as well. But, he now saw that what he had was not superior. But in his own case, he didn't just accept Jesus or anything. He went to go and raise up people to attack them. So, when Saul, who now became Paul, started preaching, they wanted to kill him. Are you seeing the same trend? Somebody was a bad guy before, killing Christians. Now he's become a child of God. They want to kill him.
Human beings.
But this was when he was being taken to Rome. Because there were so many things I needed to shorten it, so I just had to remove some things. In Acts 27 verse 10, look, he's saying, men, I perceive that this voyage will end with disaster and much loss, not only of the cargo and ships, but also our lives. Please pay attention to me. There's a reason I've flagged this up. That is a child of God in operation. Guys, they were loading the ship that were going to take them. They were loading it with goods and everything. Because those ones were only thinking about profit. Yeah. Let's load it up. Let's load it up. I said, guys, I perceive. You will know that that's the Holy Spirit working inside of him. We're going to be in trouble here, and we may all die in the process. Now, this is the point I want to flag up. Sometimes prophecy is to make you avert something from happening. So somebody sees it, but it's not going to happen because God has warned you and you've prayed about it and fresh instruction has come. So it doesn't mean that if somebody prophesied to you, oh, this person is going to die in 5 days. It doesn't mean you die in 5 days. It means that is what was meant to happen. The response of that person to that prophecy can determine whether they will stay 5 days. Like Hezekiah in the Old Testament, they told him, look, put your house in order. He still lived 15 years longer after, because he told God, no, I'm not ready to go. So in this case, this is what happened. They had all sorts of issues going on. But then Paul stood up and said, the ship will be lost, but no lives will be lost. That is refreshing the other prophets that said we can lose our lives. Because an angel has visited him and said, don't worry, because you are on this boat, I will spare the life of these other people. Because you are very important to me, you need to get to Rome. Don't worry, the ship will be lost, but nobody will die. So sometimes vision can be refreshed. Yes. So I end on this. Like I said, it's been 2 sermons put together. I don't know how long this has been. I've tried to go as quickly as I possibly can. What is the significance of prophecies in today's world? It informs us of our future or the future. That was why when I wrote my last published book, last but one, because I've published a book called Flirtation. But before Flirtation was a book called Sons of God. And in Sons of God, the Lord told me, publish it now. That was 2012. Because if you don't, people will think you've seen what is happening and you now wrote about it. So I was still being told the future. He said, one of the chapters in that book is 2012 to the end. 2012 to the end. So yes, prophecy still exists and it informs us of the future. So we can plan accordingly for it. It warns us about the future. So if there's something we need to avoid or avert with prayer, we'll do it. It prevents disaster from happening. It's not given just for people to say, and you will die, and you also. No, that is not, which is the most prophecy many people just keep giving. No, the whole idea of it is to prevent it from happening. It is to instruct us in everything that we do. And I say it without a shadow of a doubt, is to confirm God's superiority to men. Because anyone who can foretell you what will happen to you tomorrow, if you don't call that person God, you should be slapped. Because you don't know what's going to happen next second.
Exactly.
And he's telling you tomorrow at 4 a.m., this and this will happen to you. That's got to be God. That day, we are not even in that day already. You're telling me what will happen to me in it. You must be God. I don't know what else to call you. And most importantly, and I've done it to be very bold, the significance of prophecy in today's world is to save souls.
Amen.
There's so many skeptics out there. There's so many people that don't believe in God, atheists and all that. Why did people like C.S. Lewis become Christian in the end with all of their intelligence and having written so many things against God for so many years? Because God displayed His superiority to them in one form or the other, that they could not ignore it. So guys, we're not going to go out there and be telling people, come to Jesus so that you don't go to hellfire. He's not going to cut it anymore.
No.
You got to display what you have. And then they got to ask you, what is it you have? We are all depressed. We are all using medication. We don't know what to do. But you seem to be happy all the time. Why are you so happy all the time? It could be something as simple as that. It doesn't even have to be supernatural as in hoopus coopus. Do you understand? But they just know that all these bad things happen to all these people. It didn't touch you. It didn't come near you. After a while, so people are observant. They go keep asking, how come all these terrible things are not coming to you? Because I've got Jesus.
Amen.
So prophecy still exists, but it reinforces us, it reminds us beyond all this distraction we have in the world today that God is real. Contrary to what the noise is trying to drown us out, God is real. And He's written this script. And everything is written is going to happen. Whether they like it or not. Amen.
Amen.
Stand to your feet and down. Father, Lord, I thank you for the opportunity you have given me to talk about you.
Amen.
I thank you because if prophecy did not exist, I don't know if somebody like me would be a Christian. I thank you because you have shown me things I can't even talk about. You show me things that the world has not seen. And I worship you.
Hallelujah.
I worship you, Lord. I pray that somehow you can touch the heart of all of these people that seem to doubt your existence. That are just so confused about whether you are alive or you're not. Whether you're real or you're not. I pray that you will touch them in a significant way like you've touched me over the years. I pray, Father Lord, that you will show them who you are.
Amen.
Father Lord, in a way that they cannot ignore. So that many of them will be saved.
Amen.
So many of them, Father Lord, can make it with you because of that next out of this world thing that you've got set up for us coming. My Lord and my God, I thank you.
Thank you, Lord.
I give you all the glory.
Hallelujah.
In Jesus' mighty name, I pray.
Amen.
Shall we share the grace?
May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God,
and the sweet fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Surely, His goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our lives, and we shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. I pray that the prophetic spirit will be activated in each and every one of you.
Amen.
That the Holy Spirit will become so real to you.
Amen.
In a way you've never felt Him before.
Amen.
I pray that He will show you things in your dreams.
Amen.
He will show you visions.
Amen.
He will show you trances.
Amen.
He will show you things before they happen.
Amen.
And He will display His might in your circumstances.
Amen.
In Jesus' mighty name we have prayed.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Father.